What's up, YouTube? This is Damon, aka the world's worst magician, and today I will be bringing you a demo and tutorial on the rising card. So if you're not familiar with it, it's, you have a spectator selection. You hold the box of cards and a card slowly rises out, and it just so happens to be their card. So what I'm going to do is give you just a really weak demo. I'm not going to walk you through the full process. I'll talk about it, but it just doesn't come off that well showing it this way, I guess. So anyway, here's a quick demo. Okay, so as you see, the card slowly rises out of the deck, and it is their selection. And what I like about it is with the method that I use, you can show the box, it's fair, there's nothing going on with it. And then you make it happen. So you have their card, you wiggle your fingers or say a magic word or whatever, and then slowly a card starts to rise out of the deck. And if you're familiar with this one, you may already know how it's working. I use a slightly different method. So when you show that the box is fair, it's actually not. So the way that I do it is I just cut a flap out of the back. So some people actually like rip a hole or something, and I don't like that method because you can't show the box. So with this one, what I did is when I cut it at a 45-degree angle if you can. It just makes it so it sets a little bit easier. So what you want to do is after you get your slot cut out, you see how it's sticking in there, and then you can just kind of push it a little bit to pop it out. But after you've done it a couple of times and kind of worked it, then it'll automatically be in this kind of position. So you can hold it down, and when you let it go, it pops up for you so you can get in there. So I don't want you ruining a bunch of boxes, so you may want to just kind of figure out where you want it. So I put mine a little bit higher because it was easier to hide the bottom slit against this line. But you may want to be down here so that it's easier, you get on the bottom of the card and push it up. But from here, on an exposed view, you just get the pad of your thumb against the back of that card and just with a light touch, just slowly push it up. And the reason I'm saying light touch is because if you try to push it too hard, you may take more than one card, and then it won't be their card. It doesn't look as cool. And I use my thumb. You can use your index finger if you want. It still works. Use any finger, middle finger, whatever finger that you're comfortable using, that'll fit in the slot. So you want to cut the slot big enough to where whatever finger you're going to use fits in there. So you can even do a thinner slot if you want. I have big hands, thick fingers, so I cut kind of a bigger slot. So without stepping you through it, in a crazy, boring way, all you want to do is be very careful with a X-Acto knife or a razor if you have it, and you just want to, make that outline. You can even use scissors if you want. I just find it easier to use some sort of razor blade type thing because it's easier to just, start with the cut. And then let me get close for you so that you can see this. And again, this is where it's bending for your flap. And then here's the exposed view where you can see the back of the card. And then you're just putting the pad of your finger against that and just slowly pushing it up. So super simple, gets good reactions. It's not crazy reactions, but it'll get good reactions. What you want to do is get the spectator involved and say, hey, wave your fingers like this, and then they'll slowly see that card start popping out of there. And then it's kind of a more magical moment. So things to know about it are, if you're not familiar with it, basically you have to control their card to the top of the pack. So whatever method you're going to use, you have them select the card, you put it in there, and then whatever method you need to use to, you can do a pass or whatever. If you haven't put it, if you're doing kind of a fan out method, you can have them put it there, and then you could do the underpass where basically you just, when you're squaring the cards up, you take this packet, and if you can see it under the bottom there, all you do is let it fall into your hand, and then when you go square up, put it on the top. So any kind of pass that you want to use, or shift, I mean, if you want to get real fancy about it, but you just need to control that card to the top. And then once you control it in the top, just make sure that you put the top will go towards the flap side. So you can cut the flap in the back of the box. This is not a traditional bicycle, so it doesn't show the back of the card. So I didn't want to go with that. I felt like I could hide it a little easier here. And as you see, if you show them, you know, everything's fair. I mean, don't run if you're not being chased. So there's no reason to just immediately say, hey, look, this box, there's nothing wrong with it. But, you know, if you happen to have it in your hand, you just show, hey, there's nothing wrong with the box, and you're good. You know, you can take your time here, because with those cuts, excuse me, the way that they are, they're not going to be that visible. And I hold my thumb here just because you can see I tore up this corner just a little bit. So then I just put my thumb over that piece. So if you do have an imperfection, just put your finger over it, and it'll stay in place. Now, one thing that I do have is if you do it a little higher like I did, sometimes it is going to catch a little bit. So all you have to do is just kind of dig just a little bit. I have nails, as you know, so I just use the tip of my fingernail. But if you just apply pressure, it should pop out a little bit for you. And then the length of it, it really depends on how high you want the card to pop out. So I gave it about top of the thumb length, and that enables me to push it high enough to where it actually starts to push the box out of the way. And I like that because when you get here, this may make a little bit of noise. So as you start to make the noise there, it's making the noise hitting the top of the box. So there's nothing suspicious about it. They would assume the noise is coming from here instead of the back of the box. And then it's the same thing. Once you say, oh, is that your card? You can have them grab it. And as they grab it, put your thumb back over the flap. So that way, again, because they'll be like, hey, I want to see that box. Nothing going on here. So this is just a super simple way to do a rising card effect. It's not the greatest way in the history of cards, but it is a way that's going to be super simple, and anybody can, you know, make this manipulation of a card box. And, you know, just be very careful when you're cutting this out, and always, you know, be safe and don't have your cards inside of the box while you're doing it, if that's not obvious. So yeah, empty box, cut it out. I would say measure it up. So if you know that you're going to want to use this much of your thumb, then measure it up so you cut that much. And then again, if you want to go toward the bottom, I stay away from this bottom crease just because, you know, that's where the box is held intact. So that's another reason I went up, but you could come, you know, down here to under where it says standard and cut it out and then do the same thing. So it's fairly hidden. Of course, you can't actually hand them the box because they will totally see that, but you can show, hey, you know, there's nothing going on here. And then you still look clean. So yeah, ask them to pick a card, control it to the top, and then use your flap to make that card rise up and get your great reactions. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions about this. Hopefully it's pretty straightforward what you have to do. If not, then, you know, just go ahead and leave a comment down below with your questions, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. And yeah, I guess that's everything for this. Pretty quick. So again, this is called the rising card effect, and that's how you do it. All right, see ya. If you have any questions, magic tricks, or decks that you want to see reviewed, go ahead and leave a comment down below, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. As always, I would greatly appreciate it if you would click that like button and subscribe for any future reviews. All right.